In this first video, we will talk about Chapala, one of the largest towns of the Lakeside area, located about 40 kilometers south of Guadalajara, which is the second largest city in Mexico. Chapala has a fascinating history. Chapala's first inhabitants came from the north, from a place called Aztlán, place of herons. The first settlements were from the 11th century. In later years, more tribes arrived, the Nahuas, Cascanes, and the Cocas. They all spoke the Nahuatl language and were descendants from the Toltecs, who built the city of Teotihuacan, 40 kilometers from Mexico City. At that time, Chapala was dependent under the domain of Tonalán. There are multiple versions of why they gave the name of Chapala to this town. The first version was that the word meant place of small pots, because people found many small pots on the bed of the lake. A second version was that it meant place of grasshoppers in the water. However, the most accepted version is that the name was given after the cacique or chief called Chapa, whom the people called Chapalac. If you travel to the lighthouse in Chapala, you will see a painting of Chapa or Chapalac on the pillar. In those days, the lake was called Mar Chapalico because it had a larger extension and more volume of water. In 1526, the region was conquered by Commander-in-Chief Alfonso de Avalos under the order of the King of Spain. The area was evangelized by Franciscan friars who arrived in the area in 1523 after Hernán Cortés' petition. The most famous friar was Pedro de Gante. The first viceroy representative of the King of Spain arrived in 1535. In 1812, Encarnación de Rosas, with the help of General Santana's army, defeated the Spaniards in La Barca during the independence movement, of which we will talk in upcoming videos. Porfirio Díaz, the Mexican president for 30 years, visited Chapala from 1904 to 1909 with his wife, Doña Carmen Romero, Doña Carmelita as they used to call her. They would come on holidays with a large entourage of public servants and different world personalities like Albert Braniff, son of Thomas Braniff, of who we will talk about in the next video. That launched Chapala as the most elegant place to visit. Jet setters began arriving. All the newlyweds would come to Chapala for their honeymoon. This was Chapala's golden era. In 1908, an intrepid businessman named Christian Sejetnan Hansen from Norway arrived to Chapala. He fell in love with the place because it reminded him of his hometown Kristiansand, and he started promoting Chapala in Europe to create tourism. And as in his hometown they had sailboats and steamboats, he had two ships built. One was a Viking and the other was La Tapatía. They were launched. One was for tourism and the other for freight, making trips around the Lake Chapala towns of La Barca, Jamay, Tuxcueca, Tizapan, La Palma, and Cucumatlan. He also decided to build the railroad to make a train from Guadalajara to Chapala, and while the permits were in process, he started the construction of the Yacht Club of Chapala, all with wooden interiors made in the United States. For the inauguration in December 1911, personalities from Mexico and the United States attended. However, it had a tragic end. A heartbroken man started burning the love letters and photos of his girlfriend inside, and a sparkle ignited a fire, and it totally came down to ashes. In 1910, the economy of all Mexico was in turmoil due to the revolutionary movement. It hindered the progress of Mexico, and Chapala was no exception. Nobody wanted to invest in Mexico, and in Chapala, people did not want to travel by boat nor road because they would be assaulted by revolutionaries. In spite of all this, the Viking and La Tapatía steamboats continued sailing. Sejetnan continued with his endeavor to build the railroad. By 1917, he was able to get financing from Norway and the United States, and the construction started. The route was traced. It would go from La Capilla, La Calera, Buenavista, Ixtlahuacán de los Membrillos, where it would stop, and from there to El Molino, Santa Cruz de la Soledad, and Chapala. The train station building was built, and by 1920, with vivas, it was inaugurated. Personalities from Mexico City and Guadalajara attended. However, the President of the Republic, Don Venustiano Carranza, and the Governor of Jalisco could not be present, but the inauguration still took place. We will talk more about the railroad station next video. By the end of the 19th century, lured by the beauty and year-round temperate climate, immigrants from different countries began arriving in Chapala in significant numbers. They built houses in the European style, and many are still standing. Today, Chapala is a retiree paradise. More and more people are coming from the United States, Canada, Britain, France, Greece, and Asia. The municipality comprises the towns of Chapala, San Nicolás, San Antonio Tlayacapan, Ajijic, and Atotonilquillo. We will continue talking about Chapala next video and visiting the most important places in town, and telling you more things of their traditions, their customs, their handcrafts, and much, much more. I hope you like this, and we will see you in our next video. Loving Mexico thanks you for being with us today. Be sure to subscribe and leave a comment. Continue watching our videos and enjoy loving Mexico.